Good day everyone, especially to our subject teacher, Ma'am Maria Pauline Santos Bautista, Registered Criminologist. Today, we're going to discuss the lesson 4, which is Criminology and Law, from the book of Basics of Criminology. What is law? Law is a body of rules of conduct of binding legal force and effect prescribed, recognized, and enforced by the controlling authority. Any system of regulation to govern the conduct of the people of a community, society, or nation. The highest law in our country is the 1987 Philippine Constitution. The 1987 Constitution established a representative democracy with power divided among three separate and independent branches of government, which is the executive, legislative, and judicial branch. In the legislative branch, this is where they make the laws, alter, and repeal them through the power vested in the Philippine Congress. The Philippine Congress institution is divided in the Senate and the House of Representatives. The laws enacted by the Congress of the Philippines, denominated as Republic Acts, there are now over 10,200 Republic Acts. How did law evolve? The earliest law book was written about 2100 BC for Ur-Nammu, king of Ur, a Middle Eastern city-state. Then within 3 centuries, Hammurabi, king of Babylonia, had enumerated laws of private conduct, business, and legal precedents, of which 282 articles have survived. On that time, the punishment for adultery is drowning, because the term eye for an eye came from King Hammurabi of Babylon. He believed that people should be punished according to the way in which they offended. For example, if they hurt someone, they should be hurt equally badly in return, as well as their unequal treatment of the rich and poor. They arrange it according to their systematic code. China develops their similar rules of conduct as the Egypt did. Their first law system has a direct influence on the American legal system, was the codification of all classical law ordered by the Roman Emperor Justinian, and also completed on 534 BC and became the law of Roman Empire, called as Justinian Code, where most of the European nations are based to this day as their legal system. And the principal source of American law is the English common law. Its roots is same as the Justinian. Then William the Conqueror arrived in 1066 and combined the rest of Anglo-Saxon law with Norman law, which resulted in the English common law. Later on, the American colonies followed the common law, and all the American frontier lawyers influenced the development of state codes of law.
Pre-Spanish-Philippine Tribal Code. The Kalansiaw Code is a purported legal code said to have been written by Dato Kalansiaw, a 15th century chief of the island of Negros in the Philippines. However, it has been widely debunked as a forgery, and there is no historical evidence to support its existence. Nonetheless, the alleged Kalansiaw Code is often discussed in the Philippine history and legal study. It is said to contain a set of law and principles that govern pre-Spanish Philippine society. Some of the supposed tenets of the Kalansiaw Code include respect for ancestry and elders. The code emphasizes respect for one's ancestors and elders, which was a common value in many pre-Spanish Filipino societies. Prohibition of theft and murder. Like most legal systems, the code is said to prohibit stealing and killing. Punishments for crime. The code is believed to prescribe specific punishment for various offenses. For example, it is said prescribe death for murder.
Code of Kalinchao purported pre-Spanish Philippines Penal Code claimed to have been written in 1433 and discovered on the island of Panay in 1614. Later, research cast doubt on the code's discovered Jose E. Marco as a peddler of historical frauds. Marco was a prolific writer on the history of the Philippines, although his work was rife with errors and outright fabrication, nevertheless throughout the 20th century. Many scholars in both the Philippines and the United States accepted Marcos' pre-colonial source materials at face value. Chief among this was the Code of Calentiu, which listed 18 orders for the proper punishment of certain moral and social transgression depending on the gravity of offense. Punishment ranged from a light fine to being cut to pieces and thrown to early as the 1960s historian begin to question the validity of the code by many Filipinos continue to regard it as important legal documents. Not less in 2004, the National Historical Commission of the Philippines declared the Code of Calanchao to be hawk perpetrated in the early 20th century.
The Kalancho Code is not a national law. It was only enforced and made applicable to the members of the tribe governed by Dato Kalanchao who live in the island of Negros. This implies that other tribe groups had their respective codes. Ang Kalanchaw Code po ay hindi isang pambansang batas. Ipinatupad lamang ito at ginawang naangkop ng mga miyembro ng tribo na pinamahalaan ni Dato Kalanchaw na nakatira sa isang island ng Negros. Ang nagpapahiwatig na ang iba pang mga pangkat ng tribo ay may kani-kanilang mga code.
In this part, we will discuss the Philippine criminal law. Criminal law, also known as penal law, plays a crucial role in every society by defining crimes, understanding their nature, and establishing the necessary legal framework for their punishment. In the Philippines, the foundation of criminal law rests upon several key legal documents including the Revised Penal Code, Special Penal Laws, Presidential Decrees, Batasang Pambansa. The Revised Penal Code, established in 1930, the core legal document defining a broad spectrum of crimes and their respective penalties in the Philippines. Special Penal Law progressed as Special Penal Laws through Republic Act to address specific crimes or societal issues like illegal drugs, human trafficking, and environmental violations. Presidential decrees issued by the President hold legal weight and address critical issues. Example include laws on fencing and probation. And the last one is Batasang Pambansa, law created by Batasang Pambansa during the Marcos era, still have relevance in the legal system. The importance of Philippine criminal law is the significance important due to the following reason. The first one is societal protection. It protects society by identifying and punishing actions that are harmful individuals and the community as a whole. Next is deterrence. Criminal penalties act as a deterrent, dissuading individuals from engaging in criminal activities. Next is legal accountability. It establishes a mechanism to uphold individuals accountable for their actions, ensuring justice for victims and upholding the rule of law. And the last is order maintenance. Criminal law contributes to maintaining law and order, allowing for peaceful coexistence and just society.
Theory known as classical was developed during the European Enlightenment and was most closely associated with thinkers like Jeremy Bentham and Cesar Beccaria. The idea of individual freedom of choice and the deterrence principle were emphasized, and it supposed a logical and human approach to criminal justice in traditional perspective. The primary goal of criminal punishment is to dissuade people for committing crimes. The state should impose punishment in fair and proportional manner to the gravity of the offense. People have free will and are relation being capable of making deliberate decision in according with classical thinker.
Ang pangit!
Okay na yun. That punishment should be carried out in retaliation or retribution. As a result, the basis of a criminal punishment need to be the idea of individual accountability. A clear and codified penal code that details the specific law and penalties for various criminal offenses was also stressed by classical theories. Punishment should be swift, certain, and proportionate with the aim of deterring both the perpetrator and other members of society from communicating crimes. The code serves as a social contract, educating local of the laws they are explained to obey the consequence of doing so.
Protection under the law is likewise supported by the classical viewpoint. This suggested that everyone should be treated equally by the law, regardless of their place in city, their financial situation, or their social standing. The classical interpretation of the penal code places a heavy emphasis on the necessity of deterrent, proportionality, personal responsibility, clarity in legal regulations, and equality under the law. Fairness is stressed, and arbitrary or biased implementation of the law is avoided. It still influences discussions and reforms in the criminal justice system and has had a significant impact on modern legal systems.
The positive view that the classical method considered the offender as an abstract being and of fixing for him through a series of hard and fast rules, a great multitude of penalties which is counterguard to the human element. Positive such as Lombroso and his followers believed that criminal behavior was not solely a result of free will and rational choice, as classical criminology posited. Instead, they argued that factors as a biological, psychological, and sociological condition could contribute to criminal behavior. The perspective viewed the offender as a product of their environment, genetics, and individual characteristics. In the context of your statement, it appears that the positive viewpoint criticizes classical criminology for treating offender in a somewhat abstract and decontextualized manner. The positive believe the classical method focus on applying predetermined penalties without considering unique circumstances and underlying causes that may have led an individual to commit a crime.
Good day everyone, my name is Angeli Diosebio. So I'm here to discuss the characteristic of criminal law. So number 1, generality. Criminal law applies universally to all individuals residing or staying in the country, ensuring equal treatment under the law. Second one is territoriality. It asserts that Philippine criminal law governs offenses committed within its borders. with exception outlined in Article 2 of the Revised Penal Code for certain situations. So the third one is prospectivity. Criminal laws cannot retroactively punish actions. Offenders are held accountable based on the laws in effect at the time of their actions. This ensures legal clarity and fairness. So that's all.
What are the legal maxims related to criminal law? Legal maxims are established principles of law that are universally admitted, and the people in legal field is very well aware of these words. These words are mostly Latin words or a combination of a few words. I will give you some examples of legal maxims. Number 1, actus mi invito pactus non est meus actus, which means an act done by me against my will is not my act. And the second one is dormiunt leges aliquando nunquam moriuntur. The laws is sometimes sleep but never dies. Illegal maxims include also the mala inse, mala prohibita, malo animo, mens rea, so on and so forth.